Hello, Professor. How are you? I hope that you are doing well in Korea. Although now I am in Vietnam, but I still catch up with the news in Korea. Luckily, the situation seems to be better this day. So I miss you and love you very much. And I hope that we can meet up sometime very soon. Now I am gonna talking about crimes against humanity. There are 6 parts in my presentation. First of all, the mass killings of Armenians in the Ottoman Empire results in the first notion of crimes against humanity in 1915. On 28 May 1915, the Allied governments, including French, British, and Russia, decided to react strongly by jointly declaring that regarding these new crimes of Turkey against humanity and civilization, they are responsible for these crimes all members of the Ottoman government and those of their regions who are involved in such massacres. The expression crimes against humanity was not in the original proposal by the Russian foreign minister. It was crimes against Christianity and civilization instead. The French Prime Minister changed the expression to crimes against humanity. This proposal was accepted by the Russian and British foreign minister and passed into the joint declaration. The three states did not ask themselves whether humanity meant all human beings, or rather the feelings of humanity shared by men and women of modern nations, or even the concept of humanity proposed by ancient and modern philosophy. In fact, they only intended to solve a short-term political problem due to the lack of any practical follow-up to their joint protests. Various initiatives to act diplomatically on behalf of humanity subsequently failed. The two different representatives of the US submitted the Memorandum of Reservations to emphasize that while war crimes should be punished because the laws and customs of war are a standard certain, there is no fixed and universal standard of humanity due to the time, place, situation, or even individual judge. As a result, no provision was made for crimes against humanity. The first part is the Nuremberg Charter and Judgment. During the Second World War, the Allies became aware that some of the most cruel acts taken by the Germans were not prohibited by customary international law. The laws of warfare only prescribe violations involving the enemy population, whereas had also performed inhuman acts against their own civilization. Moreover, in 1945, even if perpetrated against civilians of occupied territories, persecution for political or racial purposes were not prohibited. In 1945, the Allies decided to bring on the major war criminals to trial because of the insistence of the USA. The London Agreement embodying the Charter of the Nuremberg Tribunal included a provision to try and punish persons guilty of crimes against humanity which were defined as murder, enslavement, or deportation. A number of courts held that Article 6 of the London Agreement simply crystallized a new rule of customary international law prohibiting crimes against humanity. This explains both the limitation to which the new notion was subjected to the extreme caution and the interpretation of the Nuremberg Tribunal in applying the notion. In all probability, the Nuremberg Tribunal applied the new law or substantially new law when it found some defendants guilty, but this could not in breach of a general norm strictly prohibiting real active criminal law. Next is the subsequent developments. On 11 December 1946, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution affirming the principles of the Charter of the Nuremberg Tribunal, and its judgment means that the category of crimes against humanity was becoming part of customary international law. In addition to the Charter of the Tokyo Tribunal, a number of international instruments were drawn up involving the prohibition of crimes against humanity, some of which improved the provisions of the London Agreement, the peace treaty with Italy, Romania, Hungary, Bulgaria, and Finland, for instance. After 1945, the link between crimes against humanity and war was gradually dropped. Some treaties and other binding international instruments ensuring the status of international courts and tribunal restricted the scope of customary rules. The third part is the Nation Day. Under customary international law, the category of crimes against humanity is sweeping but sufficiently well defined. It covers actions that share common features. The first one is that they constitute a serious attack on human dignity or a grave humiliation or degradation of one or more persons. The second is that they are not isolated, but as a part of a widespread practice. It is required that a single crime be an instance of a repetition or similar crimes are part of a string of such crimes. Thirdly, they are prohibited and may be punished regardless of whether they are perpetrated in time of war or peace. Finally, the victims of the underlying offense may be civilians or persons who do not take part in the armed hostilities, as well as under customary international law. About the objective elements, crimes against humanity are on a large scale of massive nature. This feature is a necessary ingredient of the crimes may be inferred from the first provisions setting out of such offenses. Criminals such as murder, extermination, political, reach the threshold of crimes against humanity only if they are part of a practice. International criminal law always requires for the crimes under discussion a general context of criminal product, consisting of a widespread practice of unlawful attacks against the civilian population. About the underlying offenses, if the aforementioned contextual element does exist, crimes against humanity consist of two distinct categories of crimes: inhuman acts such as murder, extermination, enslavement, deportation of any civilian population, and the second one is persecution on political, racial, or religious grounds. It is therefore customary to refer to the underlying offenses of crimes against humanity by distinguishing between the so-called murder type, type offenses and the persecution type offenses. I will talk more detail about murder. As a rule, the mental element of this conduct is the intent to bring the death to another person. Intentional killing may or may not be premeditated. This is planned and willed in advance of the act of killing. However, for murder as a crime against humanity, a lesser mental element is required by the case law. It is sufficient for the perpetrator to cause the victim serious injury with reckless disregard for human life. Enslavement means that the exercise of any or all of the powers to the right of ownership sons, in particular women and children. Sexual violence includes rape, sexual slavery, enforced prostitution, forced pregnancy, enforced sterilization, and any other form of sexual violence of comparable gravity. The fifth part is the subjective elements. The relevant rules of international law require two mental elements for the crimes under discussion. The first one is the mens rea proper to the underlying offense, and the second one is the awareness of the existence of a widespread or systematic practice. In most cases, the first mental element is intent, that is, the intention to bring about a certain result. However, the case of murder has considered that what is required for such conduct to amount to a crime against humanity is either the intent to kill proper to murder or a different international element, namely the intent to inflict serious injury in reckless disregard for human life. When crimes against humanity take the form of persecution, another mental element is also required. A persecutory or discriminatory animals courts have not required as part of mens rea that the perpetrator should have a rigid or inhuman frame of mind. The second requirement is that the agent be cognizant of the link between his misconduct and a widespread or systematic practice. The requisite subjective element of mens rea in crimes against humanity is not simply limited to the crime intent required for the underlying offense. The viciousness of these crimes go far beyond, however weak or despicable it may be. The final part is the authors. Normally, it is state organs, that is individuals acting in an official capacity such as military commanders or servicemen who perpetrate crimes against humanity. The case law seems to indicate that the crimes may be committed by individuals acting in their private capacity, provided that they behave in unison with a general state policy and find support for their misdeeds. This is the end of my presentation. Well, as I said, I really miss you and tell you, and I hope that the coronavirus crisis would end very soon so that we can come back to Korea very soon. I think that online classes is a good method, but yeah, Professor, it is always a best to see you and friends in our class. Well, so I wish you all the best Stay healthy and yeah, be strong. See you soon. Goodbye.